Welcome to my YouTube channel, and today we are going to be looking at Go language, and what we're going to do is create a user input using Go programming language. So the first thing I want to do is use the package main import that, and then the next thing that I want to do is import some of Go language packages, and which one of them is actually the FMT. Now with the FMT we can print out strings to our console. So how we write functions in Go is we just use the func and main, and in that our block of code we can actually then use we can then create the codes we want to use for our function. So what I want to do now is create a new reader from and so I want to create a new reader that would read the strings, because we are trying to create a user input. So it's going to read standard input, and we're going to do that using another method, another function in Go, which is the os.stdin. So I'm just going to assign a variable, and I'm going to call my variable reader. Now in Go we assign variable using this method, and then there is another function called the buffer. One very good useful thing is that we can just when you use a function, it automatically imports it for you, which is great, so you don't have to worry about importing a function. And then of course we are going to be putting our os.stdin in there. And then the next step that I want to do is that I want to prompt the user to actually put in an input, because that's what this exercise is all about. So right now I'm just going to be using the FMT package and print, and I'm going to be inside our print statement. We're just going to be asking the user, what city do you currently live in? That's what we want to ask our user. So now we have that. The next thing we also want to do is that we want to be able to read the string, right? So a user imputes gets this message, but we also want to read the response from the user as well. So we're going to be creating another variable, and we're going to be calling that city, and we're also going to be creating that alongside with an error, and then we are going to be using our reader variable dot, and then Go has a function called the read string function. And then we can just pass in a space, so that is just to create a space. And then we will be using our if statement to actually catch any errors that we encounter. So we're just going to say if any error is not equals to nil. What we want to do is that we want FMT, which is the package for printing, and we just want it to print a string, and we can say we want it to print something like maybe error. We could say we want it to print error reading input, something like that. And of course we also have to pass in the error variable into that string as well. So now that we have that, we also want it to return, because that's what we wanted to return. That needs to be returned inside the if statement, so I'm just going to take that out. Needs to be returned inside if statement. Yep. And then the next thing that we wanted to do is that we want our user to print the city entered. So we are saying that whatever city that the user does input, we also want to see that. So we're going to be using the FMT again, and we're just going to say FMT print line. And what we want it to print is, we can say something like, well, you live in, and then we can then pass in our city variable. So now we have our function for user input using Go language. So the next step we want to do would be to actually see how this all comes together. So we have all of our variables and we have all our print statements. Now let's run this in our terminal. So I would just go to my terminal, and the syntax for that is go run. Oh, and I forgot to add, to run it, you have to use the name of the file you created to actually run your script. So it's going to be go run user input.go. And now when we run that, what we have is, what city do you live in? And I can give an answer, Calgary, and then it prints you live in Calgary. So that is basically how a user input works in Golang. So thank you for watching.